Very well, Counsel. We receive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Commissioners. Mr. Cham, I'd just like you to clarify before I start a certain issue, before I apply to have the documents you have provided admitted.
Yeah.
In the bundle that you have provided, you have a summary.
Yeah.
The summary says balance brought forward 19,052,347. No, sorry, 322 million. Or maybe you should explain it, because we have two figures. Balance brought forward 19.052 million. Can you give him the file? And then you have 322,556,234.71. Could you explain what that means? And then there is no currency stated. Could you also confirm that all this is in dollars?
I mean, the summary is in 2 pages. From page 1, you see at the top it is US dollars and Gambian dollars here. 19,052,347 US dollars, equivalent to 322,556,234, which is brought forward to the front page, and when you add these other payments, that gives you 28,500,000. 28,500,000, the total of the liability, which is equivalent to 482 million.
Oh.
It is a carryover from page 1, page 2.
All right. Okay. So the 19 million owed, that is dollars at the top.
Yeah.
At the top of the first page.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the 322 is dollars. And then it carries over to page 2.
That is the dollars equivalent.
Okay. All right.
And when you add the 3.5 and the 5.8, it comes to 28.5, which translates to...
Okay. Where is the balance coming from? Can you explain that?
The balance is coming from what was classified agricultural expenditure and strategic investments.
No, at the top, when it says balance, what does it say at the top of the first page?
Balance brought forward.
Yes, brought forward from...
Yeah, it is brought forward from this page.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you. So it's already there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will come to the letters exchange between the ex-president and IMF, but let me just apply to have these documents submitted, because it seems to me you're having difficulty. I'm saying I'm now going to apply to have the documents you have produced admitted by the Commission. Yeah, okay. Then we'll come back to the letters that I mentioned before the break. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted transaction documents in respect of the Citibank 3M account spanning from 2000, the year 2000 to 2001. Together with a summary of the transactions, a letter from the Office of the Secretary General, Office of the President, providing the specimen signature of Mr. Baba Job on the 7th December 2001 as signatory to the 3M account, as well as a certificate of incumbency, being a mandate issued by the Governor M.C. Bajo of the Central Bank to Mr. Abdoulie Cham, the witness, and Mr. Lanconte, Manager Foreign Department to contract a bridge facility of $28 million for a period of 3 months. It's dated 6th day of February 2003. Signed by the ex-president Yahya AJJ Jammeh.
Good. Bundle of various documents, to wit, A. Correspondence relating to building and rehabilitation of Yundum Barracks for the period 16th June 2000 to 30th November 2001, plus related transaction documents. B. Correspondence relating to payments in favor of DINIA, D-I-N-I-A, Ameublement, S.A., A-M-E-U-B-L-E-M-E-N-T, for the period 27 June 2000 to 8th June 2001. C. Correspondence relating to withdrawals by ex-President Jammeh from Central Bank. No brackets, no account stated. That's our own comment. For the period 27 September 2000 to 5th October 2000. D. Correspondence relating to transfers of money in favor of Side Gambia Invest Limited by Baba Job under executive order for the period 26 April 2001 to 30th April 2001. E. Miscellaneous documents relating to the rehabilitation, enhancement, expansion, and refurbishment of the transmission and distribution network of NAWEC. F. Certificate of incumbency by ex-President Jammeh in favor of Momodou Clark Bayo, Governor of Central Bank, dated 31st January 2003. G. Bundle of documents relating to Citibank 3M account number. Citibank 3M account number 36114627. All admitted, all in a bundle, marked MS 114. a slight amendment on the exhibit MS-114G, the account number, and that's the last number we gave, G, should be account number 361164 instead of 46, then 27. Okay, you can rectify it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Cham, you were explaining an exchange of correspondence between Mr. Host Kohler and the ex-president Jammeh. Can you give us some context and explain the letters? And then hand them over.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I have earlier reported that there was a stalemate for 2 years, 2001 and 2002, during which the accounts of the central bank were not finalized. Not having the accounts for that period had implications on our relations with the IMF, the World Bank, and other donor agencies. As a result, programs were suspended. Now the World Bank, the IMF had to write at the end of the missions to the President to raise concern of the situation in the central bank for the non-availability of finalized audited accounts for 2001-2002. As I said, the audit was being done, but it was not finalized because there was a gap, a financing gap of 28 million, which had to be made good by government. This is the letter from the IMF Managing Director. Now,
that's the letter dated September. What's the date?
It's dated September 9th, 2003.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Yes.
Now,
it was signed by the Managing Director of the
IMF. Mr. Kohler.
Addressed to?
Addressed to His Excellency Yahya Jammeh, President of the Republic of the Gambia, President of the Gambia State House, Banjul, the Gambia. Okay? Now, we've got the reply from the State House to that letter. In the reply, it explains clearly what prevailed. That the audited financial statements of the central bank have now been completed. That he had given instructions. We do not get instructions from anybody to have the accounts completed. It's a legal requirement to have accounts presented at the end of the period. We could not complete them because there was a financing gap and that had to be made good. The other thing, that he received all assurances that all on-program expenditures have now been fully and correctly recorded in the accounting records of the central bank.
You are reading from the ex-president's reply?
From the ex-president's reply.
Yes, which paragraph and which page?
Yeah, the first page, page 2.
Okay.
That he has received full assurances that all on-program expenditure have now been fully and correctly recorded in the accounting records of the central bank.
This was referring to?
This was referring to this 28 million that we could not reflect because nobody owned up to it until the Minister of Finance finally came up with the instructions to convert it to a loan to government. Okay? Now, here, he's giving assurances that all on-program expenditures, so now he knows that these are on-program expenditures, unprogrammed expenditures outside of the agreement with the IMF. Outside of the agreement with the IMF. So they had to use the central bank to finance projects and whatever was wanted. Understand?
Okay.
That is the implication there. Now, in the second page, the last sentence in the first paragraph is replying that, in fact, the reason why my government resorted to this bridge financing from the CBG was in anticipation to early express support from a bilateral donor quota that never materialized. So again, he's acknowledging that he used these funds and he's describing it as bridging finance that was given by the central bank. But as I have reported earlier on, this was not formalized. The reason why they were outstanding and could not be entered. Okay? And again, in my testimony, we've mentioned that he was promised funds from Colonel Gaddafi amounting to 30 million. And the problem with the central bank arose because those funds were not forthcoming. And this is the portion in the letter where that is being insinuated, not mentioning Gaddafi, but saying that resorted to bridging finance from the central bank in anticipation of early express support from a bilateral donor quota that never materialized. That bilateral donor quota was Colonel Gaddafi of Libya. So basically, this is what
was in the letter?
Pardon?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cham.
Yeah.
I note that in page 3, which is the second page actually of the letter, which starts from page 2,
Yeah.
the ex-president says in the second sentence on that page, a significant proportion of the unprogrammed expenditure was for infrastructural and social programs. You have mentioned some projects which is paid for from the 28 million. You have mentioned some projects paid for from the 28 million, being the renovation of the Yundum Barracks, being one of them.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen in the transactions we have looked at any social programs. Were there any transactions relating to social programs?
I have not seen any social program transactions. We had generators,
And
we had vehicles, renovation, linear, we had aviation fuel, etc., and the airline pilots. That's what we had.
there are no social programs.
Yeah, I have not seen any.
He also says other expenditure is related to our effort to improve agricultural production in the Gambia.
Yes, so there is in the classification that which Societe had to secure.
Sorry? I didn't hear.
In this summary, there is 3,959,000 that was paid to sales, women, equipment and supplies.
It was paid to who?
Sales Secretariat.
The SIL Secretariat. SIL standing for?
Sahelian.
Sahelian.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's an organization.
Huh?
So what was the agricultural production? What was he referring to? Do you know?
We don't know. We kept our records after making payments, and basically that's it. But everything is in the file there. Okay. Okay.
And if you go to the last page, top paragraph, second, from the second sentence, he says, the manner in which some transactions were recorded may not have strictly conformed to acceptable financial reporting frameworks. However, this does not imply that public funds were misused. Do you have any reaction to this?
Yes. The manner in which some transactions were recorded may not have strictly conformed to acceptable financial
Sorry,
reportings.
I can't hear you, please.
The manner in which some transactions were recorded. The transactions were not recorded. We did not record the transactions for two reasons. One, the quantum of 28 million you cannot put in a suspense account in the absence of specific account to take charge of that. And that should have come from the government of the Gambia.
Should have come from
the government of the Gambia. It was their liability.
From the Consolidated Revenue Fund?
Yeah, from the Consolidated Revenue Fund. That is why it should. Because I would not put such a material item, $28 million, in a suspense account, not for 30 seconds.
Could you turn the
Not
mic?
for 30 seconds, 1 hour, but for a year or two. It is unheard of. It cannot be.
Okay.
So these accounts referred to as being recorded were not recorded. We would make the payments, it will appear as outstanding reconciliation item with the foreign bank accounts. And any auditor, anybody coming to inspect the books, you will find that which is the last control mechanism we have.
Sorry, repeat that, sorry. It's important. Can you repeat yourself?
We will make the payments and we will not pass the entries because there is no specific account to take that charge. So unless and until our superiors give us that, we have nowhere to put those. So we will leave it as outstanding reconciliation items. We do daily reconciliations as any other bank, monthly. And anytime we do that, they are outstanding. Anytime an auditor comes or anybody comes to inspect the books, he will find those outstanding and he will put us upon inquiry as to why they have not been cleared. And then the explanation is given. Okay? Now, this, see, that was also a risk. You put this into any account, you might have somebody waffle his way around it to explain it. Understand? And such an amount, putting it even in suspense for so long, would have warranted a qualification of the accounts. Okay. And I, as financial controller, would not accept qualified accounts for the central bank, especially for transactions that are not originated from the central bank.
You say IMF would not accept it?
IMF would not accept it. I will not accept it.
All right.
And that was the stalemate we were.
Thank you.
Mr. Cham, sorry, can I just interject there?
Yeah.
I just need some clarification. I guess we all probably could do with that. On these overdrawn accounts, because from just a few correspondence that we glanced at, we realized that it started from 2000, the year 2000, when the account was overdrawn. What I'm trying to get to, when these payments are made, you said that it's not captured in the accounting records.
It is?
You said that it was not. They were not captured in the records.
They would not.
Fine.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get to, money left the external reserves of central bank.
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, go,
Yes.
come here.
Payments are made, so money leaves the external reserve accounts of central bank.
Correct, yes.
Now, where is debited? Because if nowhere is debited, which from what you're saying, it's like another leg is missing.
Yes.
In that case, then daily balancing is even an issue. Daily balancing should be an issue.
Daily balancing.
That's my first question.
That's the question, yeah.
The second question, you're also saying that it was not captured. So it's all the reports that were submitted, to example, IMF, the World Bank, based on the programs that were there at the time. So they were all not correct because these items were really not captured in the accounting record. So there was misreporting done.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, maybe you can start with those two, then I can come in again.
Now, for every bank account, you have a corresponding account in your chart of accounts. That's all. Okay? It would only be outstanding if we pass a single entry transaction. But it is double entry. So yes, from a bank reconciliations, we'll instruct the payments to leave. the bank. So that will be done externally. But that foreign bank account should be a reflection of our records as we keep them. Okay? You understand? Now, if we should pass that entry, you would agree with me, you will need to credit your foreign currency bank account as you keep in your books, and you debit whichever department, organization should take charge of that account. Now, those two entries, which would have reflected the actual situation of the bank, okay, both in government taking the charge and reducing our balances in our books to match the reconciliation, the foreign bank account from which accounts we are taking, okay, would have agreed. Understand? Now, your books, our books are balanced. They're okay because we have not taken action. Now, your question is whether there is discrepancy. Yes,
I'm not hearing you. Sorry.
Your question.
You're not speaking into the mic. Could you straighten the mic?
Okay.
Push it towards you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Please.
Now, the question is, at the end of every month, you will look at your local records of your foreign bank account, and you will have your bank account statements. And whenever you look at the two, you will find out that your local bank accounts are overstated.
Yes.
Yes. That's the question.
Yes.
To the extent which those transactions you have paid from your bank account, foreign bank account, have not been reflected. That's right. Okay? So they become outstanding items.
Yes.
And those outstanding items is what we should claim from government. And unless they give us money or allow us to charge their consolidated fund account, we will not pass the entry. Okay?
Okay, that's the first question. I'll come back on that.
Okay.
You can go to the second one.
Yeah, okay.
That's the reporting to the stakeholders, external stakeholders.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Because you mentioned that it's not captured in the records.
It's not captured, it's not captured in the records,
But obviously reporting is done to the various stakeholders, be it quarterly, be it monthly, whatever has been agreed upon.
Yes.
So if these are not captured, then reports are being sent to them. Obviously there's some element of misreporting there.
Exactly. So that is the stalemate I am talking about, because the program was suspended. You did not have a program because the funds you would be sending, the reports that are being sent, will not be a true reflection of your reserve position actually as you create in the books. Okay?
I don't know if you recall when the suspension was done, because from one of the letters that you read, I think we heard in 2003, which the accounts started to be overdrawn from 2000. That's what I can see.
From 2000,
exactly. So it's like these stakeholders sort of found out later, at a later period, that these entries were not actually captured. That's what I'm getting to.
Yes, not found out later. For those 2-3 years, whenever they come, they will find a discrepancy. They will find the difference, that gap.
Yes.
Yes, it is always there. And that has been from day one. Okay? It is obvious. Any auditor, anybody coming in will see that, and that's what you first question. Okay? For those same reasons, the auditors would not finalize, we cannot finalize our accounts for 2 years.
Yeah, because there were long reconciling items on the bank reconciliation.
Yeah,
so if you're seeing something usually over 6 months, you have to take a decision on it.
Yeah.
So it's quite a long time for that decision to be taken. But going back to that, I'm just asking a further question. You mentioned that, based on the evidence you gave this morning, you said that, from what I heard, you mentioned that the governor allowed the office of the president to overdraw on these accounts.
Yes.
But then further on, up to the tune of $28.5 million. But further on, you also mentioned that because the facility was not formalized, it could not be captured in the accounting records.
Yeah.
Now, the governor has the overall responsibility. So if you're saying that he allowed the account to be overdrawn, he's endorsed it, so payments are obviously made. And then again, we're saying that we're waiting for the for government to take ownership, if I use your exact words. I just find the two to be a little bit confusing. Maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, and that's a fine point.
Just going further on that, because Ministry of Finance too were also drawing down on this account. So I don't see the link. You know, I'm trying to understand why.
Yeah, you see, if you go back to the first page, I have received full assurances that all on-program expenditures.
Sorry, repeat that. I didn't
I'm struggling to hear you.
Sorry. I have received full assurances that all on-program expenditures have now been fully and correctly recorded. This was only fully and correctly recorded when government accepted its responsibility for that expenditure. Okay? Now, yes, I have testified that it was not formalized. Yes, it was not formalized. How do you formalize it? Telling us this is a facility for so long, for so much, at this interest rate, put it in. You look at the correspondence, they tell you the account is not funded, and they tell you put it in suspense. This does not belong to suspense, and I will not put huge amounts in suspense.
Yes, it's not a suspense account, yes.
Definitely. Basically, that's it. So that's the nearest thing we have to instructions asking us to record them.
There might have been difficulties. We are not privy to that situation. There might have been difficulties in saying no, you know, because what I'm trying to get to, it spanned for about 3 years period where expenditure continued to be made, despite no money being available.
Yeah. By the beginning of 2003, late 2002, expenditure had stopped on that. It was already quantified. So you see, that's why if you see the authority signed by the president that was just for the governor, it was in January 2003, early January 2003, that they started to make the effort to repay the funds. Okay? So by 2003, it was 2002, 2000 accounts were audited. 2001, 2002, they were not finalized.
Okay. Going back to that, I'll come back on some of these, maybe at a later point. But just on that, you mentioned that you traveled to New York together with the Treasury manager at that time to complete formalities regarding the $28 million loan. That loan, was it to government or to who?
That was
I'm not sure. Yes,
that was a government-arranged facility, the proceeds of which were to be paid to the central bank so that they settled their loan with us. Again, that was a temporary measure for 3 months, renewable, as you could see clearly in there.
Yes, I saw that, but I just wanted to confirm, just because sometimes the handwriting is a little bit difficult.
It can be good for times.
And then, do you know whether the money was repaid?
Right?
Do you know if that loan was repaid? I'm not sure if you're aware.
I have testified that those funds were returned.
They were returned?
They were returned. Okay? They were returned, and government absorbed the cost of that expenditure, which they said was...
They absorbed the debt?
Yeah, they absorbed the debt. Okay. You see, this is the stalemate I was explaining, that we would not put that, we'll leave it hanging out there until somebody comes and said, yes, this is our responsibility, we were cause of this, we accept it. And that finally came in the summer of 2003. Okay?
Okay, and my last question for today is, just trying to understand, I know you said the bank met as an internal team. When this loan was given from Taiwan to the government, the 35 million, the government met and it was decided to treat the amount as an off-balance sheet item.
Yes.
Now, I'm just trying to understand the rationale behind that, because there was a central bank, as the banker to government, had a legal responsibility. So, maybe you can shed more light on why this decision was taken, because even though it was a new, well, AFPRC came in through whatever means, but these were funds given to the government of the Gambia. So I'm just trying, and then obviously central bank with its responsibilities. I don't quite get that.
very right. These were government funds, and it is, as I said, central bank is banker to government. But we all know how that government came into being. And we said, hang on. It is not game as usual.
It is not what?
It is not game as usual. It is not the normal thing now. We did that wanting to shelve for accountability for posterity. That these people came, took over this country, and this was the state of affairs of the finances of this country. We wanted to maintain that. Okay? Okay? We wanted to maintain that. Okay? A constitution was suspended. The constitution was suspended. Yes, there was a Minister of Finance. There was the Accountant General's Department. But why were they not in the picture for that? For opening the account. It was the military who summoned the governor and instructed him that they were having those funds for their development projects. And specifically, that is what it was. And therefore we said, hang on, we don't know their psyche, we don't know their thinking, their temperament, etc. Let us not commingle these.
Mr. Cham, raise your voice, please.
Not to commingle these. To commingle these two funds. Like, this is not ours, this is not what they inherited. They're coming in and they say that they have development projects, and probably knowing the temperament, probably their thinking, etc. We said that, hang on, let's shelve them aside. Let's treat it as off-balance sheet, create their own thing for them, and basically that is it. That's what we did. And we did not have any problems with that. Now, that was why when you go back and reflect on the period, 1994, up to 1999, 2000, you had relative stability in this country, in both price, exchange rates, and others, because there was no interference. Okay? They had their own funds they were using. Yes, it would have been the same, but as I said, we decided that, hang on, these are guys in uniform. As I said, they might not know administration, etc., and we just did not want to do anything with it.
Mr. Cham, you have a mic. Could you speak into the mic, please? We can't hear most of what you're saying. Just pull the mic.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and speak here. Okay.
Now the question is being answered that...
Yes. You can go on.
Yeah.
I think, yes.
What we had was unprecedented in this country. You had a military takeover. That is what we had. All protocols were broken. And these guys arranged for their own funds, which they call their funds, which they wanted the central bank to take care of. And we took care of that. And basically